Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Buy high, die huddling. The 10 brain dopamine's controlling. Ride the whale or get wrecked clean. This crypto dream's a guillotine. Fake guru with 1,000 subs showed me coins in shady clubs. Promised moons, Lambos and jets. Now I'm left with JPEGs and debts. Scalped my soul in a 5-minute chart. Market dumped and it ripped my heart. But I'll reload, I'll play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. FOMO's gone, greed's the king. This crypto dream's a punk rock thing. Time in hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. Liquidation, call me sweet. Whisper welcome to defeat. No stop loss, no regrets. Code and chaos, no safety nets. Satoshi's ghost in my DMs told me to ape again and again. Buy high, die huddling. Gas fees burn, but I keep rolling. If I crash, at least I tried. In this wild west of blockchain rights. I'll be trading till the lights go out. Charts are noise, but I live for the sound. One candle spike, and I'm back in town. Crypto's a fight, and I'm 10 toes down. Diamond hands with the crack in the glass. Risk it all, no brakes, full gas. But I'll reload, I play to win. Even if I lose it all again. Woke up late, charts on fire, red and green like a funeral pyre. Discord screaming LFG, but my portfolio's haunting me. Spiked my coffee with regret. Last night I longed to break out bet. Now I'm broke, not broken yet. Just one more pump, I won't forget. Bye.
What's up, guys? Hope you're having a good day. It's almost the weekend. Okay, let's see what we got in the chat. We got Pluff, first one to message today. What's up, man? Coma, second one to message. Usually you're the first, man. You're slacking. Sterling, how you doing, Sterling? We got Robert, Wilson, Brett, Noah, Dennis. What's up, Dennis? Pluff saying, how do I, as an elite member, take part of, I'm assuming the giveaway, right? Do I need to do something? No. So we might have an issue with the giveaway system, but we're going to figure this thing out either way. But normally, as an elite member, you wouldn't have to do anything, but to get yourself an extra ticket to the giveaway, you'd comment a specific word in the live chat. The word today, I'll let you guys know what the word is before I start the giveaway. I just want to give an analysis really quick first, and then we'll do the giveaway right after, and then I'll start taking any altcoin analysis requests for you guys. Okay, cool. So we got Offshore Miner. What's up, man? Victor, good morning. Nonstop, TY. Maxwell, Gear, Soy Quest, R Pink, good morning. Jedi, what's up? JV, Hulk Smash, what's up? Matrix. Okay. What's your opinion about people still going by the 4-year cycle thesis? Therefore, it will top between November and December. I don't want to discredit that because it's what's been working for crypto, well, since Bitcoin's ever been created, right? There have been some huge differences this cycle that didn't happen in any other cycle before. So that's why I think that there is a chance that this time it could be different. The super cycle theory that everyone's talking about, where it might last maybe an extra year or so, I think it's honestly more plausible based on the on-chain metrics, unless we got a really, really fast move between now and December. I don't see us being overheated, because if you look on the on-chain metrics, what's happening is all the little fish retail, they're all selling and they're running out of Bitcoin to sell. And I could show you evidence of that during this live if you want. And the institutions are buying it all up. So we're basically running out of sellers as we keep consolidating with these massive macro consolidations that are lasting over, 30 to 60 days. Like if we zoom out on the daily, every single time we had one of these consolidative phases here since the previous all-time high. This ranged for about 231 days. This is the one that knocked out a crap ton of retail. And even more so, this guy here had a bigger impact over the on-chain metrics too, because this is where most of retail sold, right here. And this is when roughly around here, when institutions started getting heavily involved. So since this moment, sharks have been, and whales have been buying up like crazy, and then all the little fish have started selling off between like here and here dramatically. So all this consolidation is creating a reset in the background to allow a stronger continuation to the upside from the supply shock that we're starting to get. So yeah, I think that there's a chance that we can have an extension to the 4-year cycle theory this time around, just because of what's going on in the background. But there's a lot of economic factors that are going on too that could cause it to sync well with the 4-year cycle. Like for example, if they started increasing tax rates on corporations, we would immediately have a massive correction. Like all assets would just go to the floor. So there's a lot of little factors that could happen that could allow it to kind of resync with that theory. But I'm sticking with the on-chain metrics, the live data, until I'm proven wrong. If I see something in the daily structure that suggests that maybe we should get the heck out, I will let you guys know. I'll pretty much tell you when I sell my Bitcoin. Yeah, and I'll tell you why I sell it too. It'll be something that I scream through the rooftops kind of thing, because I only sell my Bitcoin when I think the top is in. And I usually use on-chain data to help dictate that. Okay, but yeah, let's go through the local price action before we start talking about the macro. But after I'm done talking about the local price action, we'll do the giveaway with you guys, and I'll show you how that will work too. And every Friday, it's going to be the same kind of thing when it comes to the giveaways. All right, so Bitcoin broke this massive double bottom on the daily just after basically inducing more liquidity above us from this bearish change of character. Now, the drop for this bearish change of character was pretty close to hitting its measurable target. We had some more room to fall for sure. We got guarded, we got blocked by this previous value high, which we kind of anticipated, right? We wanted to have that buy around here to actually go around 107, but we got front run a little bit in this scenario. But yeah, once this high breaks, then the daily will flip bullish again, and then you'll start seeing people with their open mouth thumbnails all over again saying new all-time highs, crazy targets, stuff like that. We're going to 1 million. I think this cycle will go to 200,000 before we actually have our correction. And then from there, I'm assuming that the bear market floor is going to be around 70,000. But anyways, here we have, like, you don't see it on the daily time frame, but there is a supply concern here. It's a little one. It's the last one we have left before reaching the all-time high. So think of this like the final boss. But the level here that we had a lot of liquidity stacked around here. And we had confluence of like the previous value area high, the previous point of control. Like this level was much stronger than the level we're about to go against right here. So we might only tap this maybe once before breaking through it. But if we do have a, like I am planning a short here, but it's not going to be a crazy, like I don't think it's going to be the short that brings us all the way back. But this is the last like undercut potential level to the all-time high to prepare for potential swing bound shorts that can bring us all the way back down here. So it's either here or it's going to be up here. Like there's nothing else left. And if we go to the 15-minute time frame, let's just go to the hourly first. And so we can zoom out over here so I can show you why this is an area of concern. It's like I said, really small. Like if we go to like the 15-minute time frame, it's a little bit more clear, but here is just a little bit of a supply barrier when we had this impulse move, consolidated impulse move down. So we just got like a small little supply barrier here. If we zoom back to where we were and undo that delete, there we go. Here we go. And I go back to the 15-minute. What I'm looking for, like we do have a 15-minute order block, but it's not that big of a deal. If we come up here, we have that bearish change character. I'll be looking for a short, and I'll be targeting down here again. This is a little demand zone right here. We already kind of mitigated already with this SFP. If you took the SFP, good job. I honestly wish I was awake for that. That was around 4 o'clock in the morning for me. But yeah, we swept this low, and we closed above the wick, validating it as an SFP. And even better, when you close the candle back within the body range, it improves the odds statistically of hitting its target, which is just this little high right here. But once you break it, you'll have reason to hold for potential continuation. This is our next little, we have a little barrier here, testing this high. We could come down and start building a value area here before coming up to these highs. But we do have like this inverse head and shoulders posture right here that dictates that we'll be going up here. If we draw a trend line, or let's just get the inverse head and shoulders tool. And we'll close this so you guys can see a little better. So yeah. Our left shoulder, right shoulder, right here. The measurable target, based on the momentum, suggests that we can go to here, which is pretty much where we're expecting the exhaustion from a supply concern. So as this target's hit, spot traders will take profits, and that will cause a bit of a pullback, and then I'll want to see a higher high and then break up the strong low, and I'll take the short down to here in hopes that we get a continuation. It will suck for the spot bags, but it'll be nice for the short, right? If we get that short, we break into this valley area once more. I did set up a new fib setup to allow me to like show you guys a better visual of it's not saved. I didn't save it properly. That's fun. A sec here. Let me just refresh just in case. Because I did make it on my other computer, so sometimes it doesn't transfer unless you refresh. Okay, it definitely transferred. There we go. So this will just allow me to give you guys a visual of the valley area that we look at. That's all it's meant for. But basically, yeah, what I want to see is if we get that bearish change of character. For a continuation, I want to see acceptance into this valley area, this yellow zone. This is the valley area high, this is the valley area low. And then we can start targeting the valley area low for the target extension. And then you just keep doing that as price action potentially gets acceptance into these previous valley areas. It'll help you with target extensions, it'll help you with identifying support and resistance. And these are the two areas of interest that could block a path of us continuing to go down. Starting with, this level right here. Because this could be the top or just a range extension, right, to a more larger range. And the longer we range here, the healthier it is for the potential continuation to the all-time high. It'll create resets in the oscillators and all that fun stuff. Kyle, I learned it from you to always check the order books to define support and resistance. However, sometimes it's against TA. Should I rely on the order book or TA to predict the moves? So you map out your plan using your technical analysis, your rules of confluence, right? Finding your support and your resistance. The order books is just like looking both ways before jumping in, right? So if you have like a short plan here, but you see a massive buy wall really close to your entry, me personally, I would consider not taking the trade in a scenario like that. It saved me so many times from bad trades. Like most recently, actually, right here, it saved me from a bad short. I had a short plan after uptrending momentum being broken here, after hitting downtrending macro resistance, previous value high, tons and tons of confluence of us going down. And we started to go down, but the risk to reward ratio based on my entry plan and where my stop loss would have been to my target was not worth it. And I saw like a big buy wall right here alongside with the VWAP. So the order books usually will sync with confluence. Normally will sync with confluence. And if you see a buy wall of around 100 Bitcoin, whoop-de-doo. You can ignore that. It's not a big deal. You tap into that once and it's gone. But if it's like a buy wall of like a 500 or more Bitcoin, then I would take it pretty seriously, especially at these prices. Like if you multiply the price of where Bitcoin's at, where the buy or sell wall is, by the amount of Bitcoin being bought or sold at that level, you can find out how much volume it's going to take to break through it. And if the volume of that day is really low in comparison, then we're not likely going to break through that level. And will likely create horizontal support or resistance against it. So just think of it as looking both ways before crossing the road, and not to. It could help you invalidate the potential move, but not the TA itself. You just got to be careful, not to let it scare you out of trades, because limit orders in the order books is technically a form of liquidity. So if it's far away, but still between your target, let's say it's here, but you're targeting here, likely because of this confluence, you see like a buy wall there, then see how we respond to it when we get there, because we could consolidate against it to break down further, right? And because it's a form of liquidity, price action can be attracted to it, but we just can't break through it until all those orders are filled. All right, we're getting close to our area of interest. Okay, so that's my trade plan. We're just waiting on me personally, I'm waiting on a short. I didn't want to long into the continuation. Honestly, either you caught the pullback or you caught this low, and you're using this analysis to help you hold your trade. I don't want to jump in on a new trade after a break of a high. Okay, he's sounded so Canadian there. I've seen so many times from bad trades. You're gig along right now? Nice. Yeah. I caught some of your live today, man. Good job. Okay, let's try the giveaway here. So the keyword today is going to be Bitcoin. So you just type in the word Bitcoin. So this is the giveaway system. I am going to let you know that the system might not be working because our test was in a wasn't deployed in a live environment. So I'm going to type Bitcoin, and I'm going to click on Start Listening. Once you see on screen that start listening, then you guys type the word, and it will start adding it to here. Hopefully, if it's working out. So I just clicked it. Yeah, it's not working. So that's sec here, guys. All of you guys already started. Okay, we got users. All right, so I'm just gonna. You guys are gonna have to type it all over again. Okay. All right, you're good. You're good. All right, we got a bunch of people. I'm just reading through the chat since the moment I started it. I just want to make sure I'm not missing out on anyone. All right, cool. All right, I'm gonna stop the listening. I see Alex of Crypto threw his name in there 3 times, so I think we cycled through a lot of names. All right, I'm gonna click stop. We're gonna go to the draw page, and we're gonna pick a winner. And I'm hoping that it works. All right, so we got one winner, Onyx. So this is a member. All right, congratulations, Onyx. We're giving away like a $6,000 account, a prop fund account from Klein Funding. For those of you who don't know what Klein Funding is, they're basically a platform that allows you to pay for an evaluation fee. If you pass the evaluation test, you get access to an account between $6,000 and $300,000, depending on like the evaluation fee that you pay. And we're giving away $6,000 accounts for now, but we might be increasing that in the future. Cal is giving away 1 Bitcoin. My Bitcoin, I'm like, dude, when it comes to Bitcoin, I'm a lot like Smeagol. It's like, you can't take it away. Yeah, you'll need like 3 movies and a volcano to get rid of my Bitcoin. All right, congrats, Onyx. I'm going to screenshot this. And I'm just going to put this in a little note here. And I'll reach out to you, Onyx, when the live's over. But congrats, guys. I'll be doing 2 giveaways again today, but for members only. It'll be but next week I'll be doing it for YouTube comments as well. Today I'll also be giving away like a 1-on-1 free coaching call and $100 worth of karma tokens. Oh, the precious, yeah. All right, cool. All right, guys, that was awesome. It did seem like there might have been something wrong with the system, so next time around I'll make sure that, because normally it'll show you guys the comments that are being scanned and stuff like that. So I'll make sure next time around that that's working so you guys can see it. But yeah, today preparing for shorts on Bitcoin. We're almost at our key level now. If we blast right through it, I'll still be happy because I am a big Bitcoin maxi and big holder. But I still would like to have like the little short first before the continuation up. We've been catching really good shorts, even though it's been going to the upside. It's pretty contrarian compared to what you should be doing. But when you have clear evidence of confluence and the structure agrees with you, then you take the short. Okay, what would you guys like to look at next? Bitcoin from Timo. Any member? Yes, any member. So members will get, standard members will get 3 tickets for every giveaway we do. And elite members will get 6. Commenters will get 1. The YouTube commenters will get 1 ticket for every live we do. And if you are a member, this will stack into this. Right? So if you had commented and you're a member, you'll get 7. If you commented and you're a member, you'll get 4, for example. But yeah, if you feel like you're missed out on the giveaway, don't worry. There's going to be one every Friday. All right, first request was Cardano and Ondo and Chainlink. So let's take a peek at Cardano. I also do have an announcement today for you guys, for the community too. I'll be giving, I worked with 11x to give you guys free access to an indicator. And I'll show you guys how you get free access soon. I just got to record a video right after this live, so we'll have like the instructions and how to claim everything. And how to use the indicator too. Okay, so Cardano. We got into this supply concern here. We hit our head off of it. We expected, I was hoping for a pullback and then a lower low, but we just started this descending regression trend instead. We had this little bit of demand zone here, which would have sunk well in confluence with the this level right here with Bitcoin, like timing wise. But Cardano just had one little bounce and started bleeding through it. We broke this downtrending resistance as Bitcoin's breaking the inverse head and shoulders. This is breaking the descending regression trend, setting a falling wedge. The target is technically the high here. So we're kind of on that journey right now to potentially coming out to the supply concern again. Now, I do hold Cardano. I am thinking about selling it depending on how we react to up here. If we get any structural evidence of resistance, it'll probably come in confluence with Bitcoin doing the same thing around here. So I'll be preparing to sell it, but rebuy it back down at the 50-day EMA, which is also the previous value area high that we're seeing this 50-day EMA kind of just slide on right now. So we have some confluence here for support. It doesn't seem like a big move, but it's like giving yourself almost about 4% of free Cardano if you sold your Cardano here and prepared to buy here. Assuming you rebought with the same amount of funds that you sold with up there. There's a good accumulation set up there. Along the way down, if we do get that correction, I'll be watching this low. If we get an opposing change of character after sweeping the liquidity below these wicks, I'll probably rebuying a portion and then having a stop, like a trigger rebuy, which is like the spot version of a stop loss at around break even of where I sold. But that's Cardano. It's looking good, but we just still need to kind of fight through this before we can expect for it to continue up. Lots of barrier concerns, like one right over top of another right here, flush with that valley area low. You have a point of control on this supply zone here, so some confluence to hit our head there as well. But typically, when we get up here, we move quickly up to around the 92 cent level after we get above this valley area and we have acceptance into it. Yeah, we tend to move quickly to 93 cents, at least historically. When we ping pong around this valley area, it's usually quick. If I draw a fib from here to here so you can see it a little more clearly, you can see as we get evidence of support into the valley area, we move like quickly close to the valley area high. Last time we were here, I expected for us to get completely up there, but we got front run a little bit, and then we started seeing downtrending resistance here. But this was a pretty, they both came with really good warnings. Double top, failure to create higher high, double top, failure to create higher high. So that's what I'll be looking for next. If Cardano got acceptance into this valley area here, assuming we got the continuation past this area. So this would be our next exit plan, is looking for that opposing change of character here or here. And that's between 92 cents and 96 cents. But my first exit plan, like I said before, is going to be around here if we got any evidence of resistance. And then we'll start preparing our next exit plan around here. I would prefer for it to break right through it, but it's not up to us, so I'm just going to have that plan just in case. Okay, so that's Cardano. Next request was Ondo. So let's take a peek. Bitcoin's now in that supply zone. Oh, before I look at Ondo, I just want to look really left for a second. See if there's any potential wick levels that can give us a legacy SFP. We got one here. Okay, SFP, clone this, I'm gonna place it here. So right on top of that order block. I just want to see if we get a sweet close off any of these two levels. Since we're approaching it, we just mitigated that 15-minute order block. All right, we'll see what we get. All right, so the next request was Ondo. Let's pull that up. Last time we looked at it was on the 1st, so not too long ago. Yeah, so here we got acceptance into the valley area with this break of structure. So we broke past this consolidative state here. We used the previous highs as support right here, while simultaneously you're breaking into the previous valley area, pulling back, and getting the break of structure for acceptance into the valley area. So this was proper acceptance in the valley area. And we've been on like a run ever since. This was the main barrier concern that I was worried about because we had our volume shelf is here. If I zoom out a bit, you'll see what I'm talking about. We have the volume shelf here, which is a form of resistance. If we break past this and we see it act as support, we'll very likely see a fast move to our next volume shelf at $1. And right, we don't have it on our chart for some reason, but there's also a 50-day EMA like right here. And so we had a cluster of confluences here. Liquidity from these highs, which likely will help induce this pullback. We got the 200-day EMA, we had the 50-day EMA here, and we had that volume shelf resistance. So lots of reason to hit our head here. We already did. Now all we need is that higher high close. And if we get it, we should have a fast-paced move to $1. Like quick, very quick. And then I'll be looking out for resistance from this supply concern and confluence with a downtrending momentum. This downtrending momentum came from $1.13. We only had two points of interest testing it here. So you'll have to look at the order books to see if there are sell orders waiting there that are agreeing with this area. But there's a lot of confluence there for shorts. So I'll be looking to potentially hit our head off of this area. And depending on how our positioning is, it could look bullish or bearish. So if we break through, pull back, retest, and get a higher high, then we could be reaching the valley area high from here after just mitigating all those concerns. But if we fail and we instead get like a opposing change of character, we never make it past the POC. That POC is going to be a critical spot that we watch. Once we get that higher high, looking for the change of character. And if we fall down, that'll be looking to potentially re-enter at the 200-day EMA and 50-day EMA here. Because when we come up, it'll be coming up quick. If we come down, it'll likely come down quick too, just based on the previous price action and how we behave in this area. It's always quick. So you might not get retests, you might only get the breakout. So all of it's always quick from that volume gap. So here would be our key level to watch for continuation. We need a full body candle close above this previous wick. at 96.76. Okay. Is altcoin season coming soon? October? I think that we'll see not an altcoin season, but a sector-specific rally. So some assets are going to do really well. Others might not do any movements at all. So it's kind of what I'm expecting. An altcoin season is very different behavior to a rally. The rally is what you try to get in on prior to the season, because that you want to front run the season and use the season itself as an exit plan. And the seasons don't usually occur until Bitcoin's overheated on the relative unrealized profits and loss chart. And we're only halfway there. So not to say that alts won't soar and do really well, but it's not going to be a season. It's just going to be like a really good rally. Do you think the game sector will perform well? I don't know if this is the gaming sector cycle, in my opinion. When we have, this is my estimate, this is my theory on the game sector, because I think that it's been underperforming this cycle. Sony is releasing their own token called Sonium. And when that's released, I think that it's going to scream a lot of attention towards the gaming sector. And then then the gaming sector is going to probably perform extremely well alongside that. That's my theory with the gaming sector, because I think that it's been underperforming this cycle big time. So when Sonium comes out and their marketing plan, well, it might help boost the entire gaming economy, like all the gaming assets, and especially those that are built on the same network as Sonium, like Sony's token. So I recommend doing some research on that so you can kind of prepare for like a gaming sector rally. Okay. Jedi wants the karma. All right. We went through Bitcoin, went through Ondo, we went through Cardano. Oh yeah, Chainlink was the next request. So link. How you doing, Chainlink? Pretty darn good, actually. So we mitigated the supply concern here. You can see that we were struggling against it a bit. We tapped into these previous lows as resistance. I could delete this now. We can delete this now too. Delete. We don't need any of that. We can mark our previous highs. Delete this. We have our uptrending momentum still being held since around $20 when we tapped into this demand zone. Our next supply concern, we already tapped into right here. We haven't really fully mitigated it just yet. Send this to back. So as Bitcoin pulls Chainlink up because it has a stupid amount of pairing liquidity with Bitcoin, I'll be looking for a potential SFP on this high. I don't want to take the internal one. Internal SFPs have a lower chance of playing out. I can see this potentially becoming a triple top or a head and shoulders, though, if we did sweep that high and failed with an SFP. But I'd rather take the higher probability play. So if we come up here, so we haven't fully mitigated this area yet. We have the previous value area high a value area low, sorry, being flush with that value area, that supply concern, sorry. We have the hourly order block just above it too. So lots of reasoning for us to hit our head here and come down. So that's what I'll be looking for with Chainlink. It's that bearish correction. Target the lows. Maybe we'll make our way to the uptrending momentum, depending on how the timing works out. And prepare an exit plan there if there's a giant buy wall waiting for us. But if you're not in any longs, you're preparing for shorts. Crescendo's almost there, towards its target. So alts are getting some relative strength right now as Bitcoin's stalling a bit. Do you have courses for footprint charts or Market Monkey? No, I do not. Footprint charts are very interesting though. It allows you to see the active trap buyers and active trap sellers within an active candle. So it's really good for scalping. So if you're a scalper, footprint charts are something I recommend people learning about for sure. But it's not in the course yet. I do want you guys to think about the course as something that forever evolves. So if there's something that people keep talking about that they want to have added, I'll add it to the course and I'll put it in a section where, basically in order in which you should learn it. So if it's something more advanced, it'll be put closer to like day 30 in the course and not like day 1 for a beginner, right? Okay, next request was Hyper, yeah. So I do have a Hyper liquid chart. There we go. Last time I looked at it was on the 30th of September. Okay. So now we are just testing one of our main supply concerns. That's just beneath the all-time high value area. We lost momentum on hype that's held us up since August 2nd, around $36. But we're coming back up to test it now, potentially as resistance. So we'll see. And we have the confluence of the supply concern. And the structure itself suggests that we're like stacking more and more liquidity below us. And we just keep taking from above us. So we're getting more and more reason to come down soon, unfortunately. I'm hoping that it goes up, of course. Hype's a really cool asset. I don't hold any hype. I should be holding hype, but I don't hold any. There's more competitors coming out for hype, by the way. So make sure you pay attention to those DEX platforms and how they're doing, because they could absorb market shares from hype. Right? When asset creators see something doing well, they normally rip it off and then they try to absorb as much market shares as they can from it. Esther is the new competitor that could absorb market shares from hype. So just keep an eye out on them, because it could have an impact on hype's ability to grow. They all have their unique aspects, of course, but it's all about which one gets the most attention, which one's performing better, or which one might be seen as a get rich opportunity from retail investors. Anyways, yeah, so hype on its way up again. We have an SFP. No, that's not SFP. Let me delete that. I'll see if there's a legacy SFP opportunity, but that was a previous one for longs, not shorts. So we have this one here for shorts. If we struggle around this supply concern and we SFP here, I'll just look for the local target and hope for the continuation. We have a decent confluence for support here. If we do fail, I think we'll likely be range bound here for a bit. We have the hourly order block right here. We have the 50-day EMA, the previous highs. And depending on... yeah, I was just seeing if there's any conflicts with fibs, but I don't see any mentally. If I were to pull from the impulse move down here to the potential established high, this is roughly around the equilibrium, or the 382 equilibrium point. It's all assumption-based pull, of course. Let's get our core. Yeah, equilibrium point. That's assuming a high is generated around here. You can start pulling a fib once you start seeing a 2-candle pullback. So up here, when you have 2 candles go red against you, you then, during that moment, you have 2 candles pull back. You create an unclaimed high. And so during that moment, you can pull a fib from the impulse will move low, or the low from here to here, and just find your levels. But you shouldn't assume a potential top until you have at least an unclaimed high. All right, so that's the pathing I'm suggesting to prepare for is hit our head here, and then down here, prepare for longs again. Just wait for all your rules to be met first in these zones, and you're good to go. I'll need to see a 15-minute bearish change character. And if we don't like the R&R, then we look at the 3-minute, wait for the pullback, use a fib from the high to that low to find a golden pocket level, 786 level, and then you can use the 3-minute opposing change of character in that area to jump in on the pullback if you don't like the 15-minute R&R after the change of character. And depending on the structure, from that 3-minute, you use a stop loss up here, or you use the 3-minute strong high. Depends on whatever you trust the most at the time. You'll have a higher win rate if you use the strong high and the 15-minute as your stop loss guard. But yeah, that is hype in the 15-minute time frame. I hope that helps you out. Like what's about to happen here is going to dictate whether or not we're able to reach the all-time highs again for a little while. Because if we fail here, it could start a chain reaction and end up breaking this as like a big bear flag. Okay, we just swept this high. We just hit the inverse head and shoulders target. I am not trusting this legacy SFP, but I will be trusting this one if we get it. This SFP suggests a target of down here, which is pretty wild. So I'd rather this induce a pullback, right? Come back up, claim this, take this high. So I can use that pullback for a more realistic SFP target in hopes that we get the change of character for a continuation, like a target extension. I know I'm picky, but that's what gives you the higher win rate. Oh, Robert wants me to enter the short. You're bullish on Esther? Yeah, I'm pretty bullish on it. I think I might jump in on it very soon. I just need to find somewhere to buy it. I'm not sure if it's listed on Blowfin yet. That's where I do most of my trading. Oh, I'm a scalper, but very new. I'm enjoying my membership though. Oh, nice. Yeah, I see you in there, but you're still kind of quiet. I saw you flexing your gains. Awesome job on that, by the way. I think it was like a 230% gain on a 30x leverage short, right? I could be wrong. Let me find out. Let's see, got our profit flexing section here. There you are. Yeah, 250% 30x. Oh, it was a long 30x leverage long. Good job. I never even heard of that asset. Yeah, you guys have been crushing it. You guys are really good at following the signals too. You got some gains on them. Oh, Pluff says Esther has been listed on Blowfin. Sweet. Blowfin is fully US compliant. It is in a way. So you can't provide KYC to Blowfin if you're a US user. But other than that, it'll provide you your CSV files for doing your taxes and stuff like that. You just can't submit your KYC. And if you don't submit your KYC, you still have a $20,000 daily US, $20,000 limit for withdrawals. So like what I recommend to people when they're picking exchange is to make sure that you're putting in enough funds to allow you to withdraw everything you need in a single transfer. That's just me being over paranoid, maybe. I just want to make sure that like if I see something going wrong with an exchange's reserves, I'm able to tell everybody and they're able to get out really quick. I check like almost a dozen worth of exchanges reserves every single day for you guys. So if I see something scary, I'll let you guys know and to take the funds out. Somi from Fontana. Let's look at Somi. SOMI. Okay. This one looks like it's new. Let's go to the daily. Yep, it's new. I guess I've done TA on it before. Okay, so yeah, looks like we did TA on it around here. We were preparing for a potential SFP sweep, but if we got the break, we'd have the continuation target was around $2.55. Instead, we lost momentum, got out of the value area. We had a little demand zone here that we ended up using as resistance. We had a zone here of interest. We broke through it, got a double bottom structure. Violent pump. Jeez. Oh, this thing's kind of wild. Let's get... Yeah, there's not much left to its floor. We have two zones of interest here. One here. One here. At least we got a little bit more price action than last time. Got this downtrending momentum. Right here. 4 touch points. The pace of the buyers here. So we're building a descending, like a bearish regression trend. Well, it's actively bearish, but they normally break to the upside, which is kind of nice. The upside target is just pretty much the all-time high. Where we're coming down. We could continue to go down to tap this area eventually before coming up. Right now, as we speak, we're kind of building like a mini falling wedge right here that we already broke out of, getting that inverse head and shoulders kind of posture. And the right shoulder is forming on the VWAP as we speak. We need the higher high. Unfortunately, because of the low liquidity and the crazy wicks, like the higher high won't occur until we get way up here, so you have to try to front run that. Might be something okay for you to like spot buy, but not really something you'd want to trade with futures just because of how violent it kind of moves around. I've seen it break market structure rules a few times here. But yeah, if we manage to make our way up, if it gets carried from everything else, if it makes its way up here, I'd be looking for a rejection, maybe an SFP from this high. Again, I never traded this asset before, so I couldn't tell you how well it follows SFPs. That's something you should back test on every new asset. But here, yeah, this is an area where you prepare for a potential correction if we manage to dip out of this downtrending resistance. But it is positioned right now and prepare for move up. Like right now, it looks like it's going to move up. So until then, I think it's going to be bullish. But this is where I plan an exit plan around here. And that's just based on the structural evidence here. Liquidity stacking being taken. Stacking from the upside, being taken from the downside. Fully mitigated this area. We tapped this previous high. So we'll see what happens. Not as confident as the other assets that we're looking at. All right, Bitcoin's getting close to that 122 level. Oh, super close. Let's see if we get this. This is the top of supply concern. So this is normally where most of the liquidity will be resting. Is right at the top of supply concern. So if we come up there and get that SFP, we got to take it. I'm taking it. I need to make sure I'm logged into Blowfin. I got 3 minutes left on this candle. So I got to make sure I'm logged in before that candle closes, in case it sweeps the high. Okay. All right, we just swept the high. I'm still logging in. Blowfin Google Authenticator. Make sure you always have your authenticators on your exchanges, guys. The only time I've ever been hacked is on a platform that I didn't have my authenticator on, which was Facebook. Okay. Let's see how this candle closes here. While we're waiting for this to potentially give us a legacy SFP, let's see what the guys got going on in the chat. What exchanges are you US users using? Blowfin closed my account probably because I was a US customer. They wanted my KYC. Yeah, I use Blowfin. I'm Canadian. The rules are the same. I can't use it unless I have a VPN. So I recommend using a VPN no matter whether or not they accept your KYC or not, just for security reasons. But yeah, a VPN will let you get access to it. Another exchange you could use, if you're wanting to give KYC, you're normally going to be stuck with the exchanges that are really high in fees. And you're in the US, so you can use BTCC. I got a link for that down below. You could use Coinbase if you're okay with spending a fortune in fees. Coinbase is safe. Choose safety over fees, though, every time. Like, don't pick an exchange like KSEX just because they don't care about your... Like, KSEX is a little scary. They don't show the reserves, so you have no idea what they're doing with your funds. Until they start showing the reserves, don't trust it. All right, we got 15 seconds on this candle. It doesn't look good. It looks good for people who are in a long right now, but doesn't look good for people who are preparing for a short. Okay, it's SFP invalidated. No big deal. But now we could, if we don't turn around, now we need to depend on like market structure in a sense where we need to have like a strong low and then break that strong low before entering shorts. But what just happened basically tells us that we have the opportunity now to go to the all-time high. There's very little any resistance between here and the all-time high. We got this little 15-minute order block, but We had one here too. And usually too much time away from an order block like that, it becomes weaker and weaker, because order blocks are structural evidence of potential residual orders, right? So if, 4 weeks have gone by and you see a 15-minute order block, those residual orders were very likely pulled. If it's like a daily order block or a 4-hour order block, you might see people jump in on, like, do sell orders or buy orders in a market environment, not limit orders, just because of the fact that it's there, right? It's kind of like Fibonacci. The more people that use it, the more likely traders are going to respect that level. It becomes like a self-fulfilling prophecy in a sense. But technically what's going on in the background of an order block, this is likely not going to do anything for us. We'll see what happens. All right, we can delete this. We no longer have that concern. Are you watching the 886? No, I'm not. The 886 is great for... I never really tested on a macro environment, but I know when the lower the time frame you go, the more valid the 886 becomes in helping you with your trade setups. Because lower time frames are easier to manipulate, so they cause deeper pullbacks sometimes. So the 886 can be really helpful if you're using it for confluence. Are you talking about the 886 from the all-time high? Yeah. Kyle, with so many ETFs and crypto companies entering the market now, like MSTR, which is a strategy, by the way, guys, and Bitmine, that 4-year cycle might disappear this year. It could extend to 2026. That's what I was thinking. Yeah, I'm thinking that because the institutional involvement coming in, they're diamond hand holders. They use their Bitcoin as collateral. They don't need to sell it, right? And ETF providers, they're not legally allowed to sell. They have to legally hold, right? On behalf of the people who buy the ETFs from them for a service. So yeah, that's part of the reason. And the on-chain data, if I pull up Glassnode, I might not be logged in. Let's see, Launch Studio. Okay, I'm not logged in. 1 sec here, I'll log in for you guys. Yeah, Glassnode's pretty expensive, so if you guys want me to ever look at stuff on here, let me know. Okay, here we go. Logged in now. And we already can see on the front page that 99.6% of the supply is in the profit. When we're this close to the all-time high, it's kind of obvious, but here, let's see. Well, I logged into the wrong account. My bad. Sec here, sorry guys. I forgot I had an older account. Here we go. Now I'm logged into the proper account. Okay, so in here, we can find out, if we go to the dashboards, my favorites, Bitcoin. All right, we can find out. There's our unrealized P&Ls over here. We can find out how heavily people are in the profits or in loss. And like right now, when we get close to the 70 level, that's when I start getting nervous. That's when pretty much all the on-chain rules will most likely simultaneously be met for a short, like a macro short. I mean, like shorting the entire bear market kind of stuff. And I will be telling you guys when I do that, because it's a passive income opportunity. Because when you're jumping into a macro short, you make money from the funding rate fees instead of being charged from the funding rate fees when you're in a short, because the majority of the time the funding rate fees are positive, not negative. And when they're negative, yeah, people in shorts will pay people who are holding their longs, but it's so rare that it barely even happens during a bear market. Maybe 3 times during a bear market. So it's a good way to make passive income because you're earning from those funding rate fees while you're waiting to take profits from a macro cycle short. But yeah, we've got lots of room to grow. Like every on-chain metrics tool suggests that we're only about halfway to the point of extreme exhaustion that we normally get when we're at the top of a bear market. How much percent of your money balance oh, you mean for the macro short, Manny? I'm preparing for $100,000 short. And the leverage, I'm assuming it's going to be 6x or less, because your stop loss is not dictated. You don't choose your stop loss. The market chooses your stop loss. Whatever the max drawdown is, percentage-wise, is going to tell you what you're allowed to use. So if you have a just below a 1% drawdown on your stop loss, you can use maximum of like 100x leverage, right? And if you have like a 10% drawdown, which is possible when you're using daily structure, the maximum leverage you're going to be able to use is like 10x. So because we're going to be using daily structure for our stop loss guard, we're likely going to have a huge drawdown for our stop loss. But no matter how big this is, you can make it so whatever you lose is going to be the same, no matter how far this goes back. But it's all based on like how you calculate your volume versus your stop loss. And the cool thing about Blowfin is all kind of, you can have it all calculated for you. They have a built-in calculator for that. Because it's passive income, you won't use 100% of your balance. Well, yeah, for other traders, if you depend on your short-term trading, like I do, to cover your bills, your macro trades could tie up your funds, right? So that's why we use leverage, so we can kind of release some of that margin for shorter-term trades and use it in our scalping trades while we're waiting for this, like the bear market cycle short to end kind of thing, right? So the majority of people need like a $15,000 account, maybe more, in order to live off of their trading to cover their expenses. So if you got to be able to answer that question yourself. Unfortunately, I can help you through it, of course. If you tell me like how much you're trading with in total, I could tell you like how much percentage of that you should put into your maybe macro short. But it all depends on like your personal goals and your expenses and stuff like that. If you don't want to trade at all during the bear market, then put almost all of your funds into the trade, making sure that you are risking to lose only like 1% of those funds. I've been using KSX, but I'm scared now because Kyle doesn't like it. I've grown from 7,500 to 22K. Good job, man. I think they will hold your funds. They will not. I don't think they'll hold your funds if you transfer it. I wouldn't worry about that. I'm just more worried about the day where they get a hack or they have a situation where they lose a lot of funds. You won't know where they're financially at, and you don't technically know what they're using your funds for right now because they're not showing their reserves. When Bybit got hacked, I was not worried at all because I was fully aware of how much funds they had in the background and that they would be able to handle that hit despite it being such a massive hit. With KSX, I couldn't tell you that. I couldn't have any confidence in knowing we will not survive a hack or maybe a crazy arbitrage event where they lose a bunch of their liquidity, stuff like that. But great job on your account growth. Okay. Looking toppy? Yeah, it was looking there for a second, but it never confirmed. This thing's just been on a tear. We're getting really close to the all-time high. This is the highest point in the wick here. We have a 4-hour order block here as well. We had, how much time do we have between now and the order block? 50 days. What we could do right now, because there's nothing else to look at, is we could look at the order books and see if there's any sell walls. The last time we were at these highs, there was a 10,000 Bitcoin sell wall, and that it was a huge warning that we weren't going to make it past 125K, because that's where it was. Now 125K, we had a massive sell wall, and we had like about a $500 undercut on the Bybit chart, and then we started coming down from there. This would be insane SFP if we got it. Imagine that. Fuck. We got it. I've only ever traded 2 daily SFPs, but whenever we get them, fuck, they're awesome. Because this could prompt a daily SFP if we sweep this and we close below it by the daily close. Well, we'll start at a lower time frame to try to front run it, of course. But yeah, that'll be intense. With the 4-hour, we had that order block. We're coming into it now. And when we looked at the order books, I didn't see any crazy sell orders yet. As we get closer to the all-time high, we might have a market maker just smash with a giant sell wall. But based on this, it looks like they want a new all-time high. So it doesn't look like there's any suppression going on, the price suppression. You sold your Bitcoin at 118K. I think there's an opportunity for you to get back in, buddy. I wouldn't be too worried. Even if it goes to the all-time high, I wouldn't like FOMO in and buy at the top. Now, don't do that. Honestly, 118K was a good spot to sell. There are tons of confluence there for a rejection. And we did have an initial pullback on that day. When it comes to actually selling, like maybe if you closed your like a futures position, then you did great. If it was a Bitcoin spot hold, you got rid of your Bitcoin. Yeah, that this time I use on-chain metrics to tell me when to sell my Bitcoin, because I don't usually do spot accumulation with Bitcoin, but I will be doing it soon. But I don't usually do spot accumulation trades where I try to sell the top and rebuy the bottom. Or yeah, we almost tapped it. No FOMO. Yeah. You're hoping for a pullback, never happened. That reminds me of so many memes. Yeah. Nobody ever went broke taking profits. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. Okay. We're almost there. Let's just mark this low. Good job for anyone who might have caught the inverse head and shoulders here. All right, we're close to mitigating that 4-hour order block. That's where the orange line is right here. You sold some at 121K, JV? Yeah, 121K had a lot of stacked liquidity there. So I bet a lot of people exit, honestly. Okay, almost there. Try to catch up the chat. Maybe I'll try to make another Bluefin account for a different email address. Yeah, if you decide you want to make a Bluefin account, I can give you lower fees with the link down below. You get 20% off your fees. And the fees get given to you as USDT. And it usually comes and lands in your funding account about 6 hours after you close the trade. But it's like a cashback system. Because normally it's commission that would normally be given to me, but it's being forwarded to you guys. And right now they're doing like an iPhone kind of promo. Okay. Any other assets you guys want to look at while we're waiting on this? Like, it looks like hype is kind of creeping its way up slowly to a key area of interest while Bitcoin's approaching the all-time high. So we might have that exhaustive confluence. Chainlink, same thing, coming up close into the supply zone, testing this low level here. Or we might get an SFP and come back down. Cardano, we're in the supply concern now. We just hit the falling wedge target that we were talking about during this live. Honestly, around here when we just got the breakout, if we get above, what we want to see with Cardano is acceptance to this value area here, but we have lots of confluence to hit our head here too. Oh wow, I didn't know there was that many requests that I missed. So with Virtuals, AVAX, Aptos, ZEC, and Ethereum. Let's pull up Ethereum really quick. Okay. Oh, super wiki. This is the hourly. So we came up, we met into the supply concern. We've been range bound within it, mitigating it. We never broke with a full body close below this area, which would have confirmed a potential head and shoulders. We instead blasted to the upside. So we can delete this. And we're coming up to our next, we're fighting our next supplies. We had this regression trend here. We're grabbing that liquidity now. Our next area of concern is up here. We could get a local SFP. Let's see if we've... Oh, we got an equal high? Oh, super close. Oh, very close. We front run it by 90 cents so far. So we could come up here. We got a doji reaction. So we need to see hopefully a sweep of this high. If we get a 2 candle pullback here and then come up, then we'll have an easy target to hit for the SFP. We target that low in hopes that we break it for a change of character for a continuation back down. I'd pull a fixed range volume profile from the start of this demand zone right here. This was our local demand at the time. Get our fixed range from here to where we currently are. Oh, not from where we currently are to here. Once we leave the value area, you got to stop your pull until you get acceptance back within it. But if we get that SFP and the change of character, this is your first barrier concern and hopes for acceptance within the value area, and then you get your target extension to the value area low after that acceptance. while being mindful of that point of control right here. Because we got really strong volume node peak here that we could get a bounce off of. So locally, this is the most transparent game plan, is sweep, close, then down. If we get the higher high above this wick, then our next area of concern is up here at 46.4. Oh, sorry, 4,640. Bitcoin slowed right down. Virtuals was the other request. October 1st. That's the last time we looked at it. We got... Okay, so we mitigated this, because I remember us being worried about this area during our last live, because we were just breaking out of here, right? We had the confluence of breaking past the previous point of control, testing this downtrending momentum, a slight deviation of the value area, like the macro one that Virtuals is in from this falling wedge. And then we're testing this previous value area high right now as we speak, getting close to that 50-day EMA. But the previous highs here are acting as support, which is a good sign. So we just need that higher high. And I'll be looking at the 50-day EMA as our next area of concern as we fill these fair value gaps. I'll be looking for our head to be hit around there. But we do have this downtrend momentum too. That could be our next area of interest. If we zoom in on the 15-minute structure, pretty wild price action. And there's got this regression trend. The target's here. So we'll see if we hold above this previous value high with the break of structure for it to act as support. So we can start looking at our next little barrier at $1.20. Got our uptrend momentum. There we go. Yeah, so far so good. Mark this zone. So we got 122 and 120.51. Like two areas of interest you got to watch for potential rejection. Assuming you don't get it as soon as we hit this target right here. Okay. All right, we just mitigated the 4-hour order block. It's going straight up. All right, we looked at virtuals, Ethereum, Ondo, Cardano, Chainlink, Hype. Algo was a request. Let's pull up Algo. I think we have an Algo chart. If you're trading Algo in a spot environment, just be careful in the spot environment, because if you're using a limit order system, it will cancel your orders. It'll cancel your stop losses. It'll cancel your limit orders for exits or entries around midnight every day. Looks like the last time we looked at it was for a long. Oh no, it was a short. Short from a break of this rising wedge down to the target, which was here. We never made it to the target. Instead, we broke momentum. Got the opposing change of character, pretty much where you end. No, the end. Okay, this is the hourly. There's a lot of warning signs to get out early for sure. So here, like I normally trade in the 15-minute. Here we got the break to the downside, creating a strong high, descending double bottom. We broke that as a big warning sign to at least take some off the table. And we broke momentum and retested it as support. You got the higher high, you would, get the heck out. Not hitting, the big warning sign that we're not going to be hitting the target. Okay, so all this is old news. We don't need that anymore. Zoom out in the 4 hour. Okay, this downtrending momentum here. It's been holding it down since 33 cents. We're now at 22 cents on algo. We can delete this. We failed to get proper acceptance into the valley area twice the last time we were there. And we break, and if we get above the 50-day EMA, get above the downtrending momentum, and use it as support, we really want to see acceptance into that valley area so we can have a target extension potentially to the valley area high while being insanely aware of this point of control and confluence with this wick level that could induce an SFP from liquidity above it being used as exit liquidity. Well, we got a long way to go before we get there, but if we instead, we can zoom in lower time frames, we do have like a convergence of confluence here. Supply zone, 50-day EMA, downtrending momentum. So this is our first boss that we need to fight before any of that is possible. So I'll be looking for a potential bearish change of character here. And then based on the active price action, I'd first begin targeting here at these lows. We can delete this green box. It's a previous demand zone. We fully mitigated already. I'll be just looking at this zone of interest right here for a potential reversal. Here we go. Hi, how's my road to 1 million? Well, I've hit 5. Oh, you mean the new competition? I mean it's more so internal now, but we're doing good. After the I had a loss streak in July when the moment we started the competition, the growth challenge. But ever since then, been on a tear, honestly. I just got to recommunicate my signals a little bit better so that people can manage the risk in sync with that challenge, if anyone's still doing that. What triggered this Bitcoin uprush, Jay? I can tell you the market structural reasoning, but not I can find out the news reasoning, but the market structure will tell you the news too. Like, honestly, we're in a volume gap. We're in a huge volume gap. We have barely any resistance between, it was here? Yeah, here. And where the all-time high is. So we're just in a massive volume gap. So basically, there's barely any interest between the last area of resistance that we just broke through right here and the all-time high. So when there's barely any interest, we create illiquid moves until we get to an area of interest where there's sellers waiting. And based on the order books, we don't have any real sellers waiting until around 142,490. And it's not that many. It's only about 200 Bitcoin. So about $1,000 from here, we have people pretty much preparing to sell at the all-time high. Maybe about 200 Bitcoin ready to be sold here. And those could be trap buyers, honestly. Anyone who might have bought around here. Or just smart whales getting out at the all-time high. How much Bitcoin is needed to push Bitcoin up $1,000? How much money? So having a market cap increase of $1,000 is a 0.83% move. You find out what the market cap of the Bitcoin is. You take 0.83% of that, and that's roughly what's going to cause a $1,000 pump. What's up, Andrew? Andrew Cameron. How you doing, man? Got Dutchy in the house. Darren does things. They just grabbed all the high levels of liquidity local on Bitcoin. Yeah, 121K-ish, 121.5-ish was like kind of last spot. And other than that, we have quite a bit resting above the all-time high from people doing macro shorts. What we need to do to find out is you grab your ruler from the all-time high to where we currently are, 50 days. So you take that 50-day timestamp, you go to CoinGlass. That's one of many places you can do this with. Go to our liquidation heat map, and you need to use a time frame that surrounds that 50-day overlap, right? So 50 days will be encased in a 3-month chart. So we're going to look at 3-month. And we can look here. We went completely cold pretty much after around 122. We have about $22 million taken out. But now what we have left, it all kind of begins at right at the all-time high, 124.7K. And we have some on our map all the way up to 128K, 128.8. But it looks like most of it's clustered around 125.1. It looks like close to about $500 million in total in that cluster. So that basically means you can have about $500 million worth of sell volume or buy volume here with a low amount of price impact. So big players would prepare their exit plan around there. Just like a bunch of them planned their exit plan around 118.9K. There's like about $500 million there too. Robert Wilson. So if we hit a new all-time high today, what could be the retrace from that making a good time to buy back in? A good retrace level, we look at the newly formed structure along our way up, right? Because now we're looking at this. We're looking at this tail right here for our retrace. We can use value area data to help find strong areas of confluence, right? So if we fall back down from the all-time high, a really good area of confluence to prepare for a rebuy is 119.7. If we breach that instead and we don't have any opposing bullish change of character warning us that we're going to reverse, then our next key area is around that previous point of control at 118. But just looking at structure alone and not paying attention to the value area data, we have built a demand zone here on the 4-hour. We built a strong demand zone here, a little one here, and one right here. So these are all going to be big areas of interest along the way down. Prepare for reversals like bounces, longs, or if you're entering any shorts, these can be areas of interest that you're going to watch for potential exit plans on your short. If you have a big enough change of character or a momentum-based target that threatens your entry or threatens your stop loss, then you could use that structure to dictate your exit. But yeah, we already have decent areas of confluence here and here, depending on if we do get a correction, how deep we'd go. and how fast we fall, it's going to dictate some confluences. Like, for example, the 50-day EMA isn't going to be here forever for this demand zone for it to act as confluence. Like, that could creep its way up. This is our big first area here that we just left during this live. Well, this zone, it's going to be a zone of interest for the reversal. And like me personally, because we spent enough time here, I'd pull a fixed range from here to here, find the valley area high, and then watch it as potential area for reversal. Acceptance into it tells me to stay in, but this will be our next spot to prepare for an exit, which would be the confluence of this valley area low and this previous valley area high, and the bottom of that large time frame demand zone. Elliott Wave people keep talking about a decent sized retrace. That's because most assets are on their fifth wave, I believe. I'm not an Elliott Wave trader, but I understand the concept and how it works. And this leg up right now is like our fifth wave. And after our fifth wave, we usually create what's called like an ABC correction. And this is me spitting out words with very little knowledge on this, by the way. So I'd recommend like doing your research on it. But like after the fifth wave, you normally anticipate an ABC correction, and that is pretty steep on most assets right now. So you're right. So if we do have a correction here, and we have to make sure we use market structure to dictate that this is actually the top and not just aping a limit exit plan here. Because if we limit exit here, we could have a good tear and continue to go up. Like, this doesn't have to be the top. Like, we can go to 100 and I was actually looking at on-chain data. This could be helpful for you guys. The on-chain data for, let me just pull it up on Glass, Chain Exposed. I wonder if they did that. I'm just pulling up Chain Exposed because it's easier for you guys to see on your side. And we go to relative unrealized profit. Now this is not up to date. The last time this was updated, it says here, was the 20th of August. But these levels are still important to look at. Around the 1.7 level on this chart, where we constantly met resistance. So we were here, last time we were here, it was when Bitcoin was at 70K. And we had that massive range for about, I don't know, from March to October. And then we hit 100K, 106K, and we started coming down. That's the last time we were in this zone, around 1.74 on the RPL chart. And next time around, I'm anticipating this to be around 140K before we hit this level again. Maybe 135, 140 is where I'm expecting it. Now, what this looks like on the Glassnode charts, very different. They have a different leveling form system. Let's see. This is called a market value to realized value chart. And it tells you the same kind of data, except it just expresses it a little differently with a different metric system. So it's a 2.76 level on here. And right now we're at 2.48. The last time we were there was around 106,000. So as we approach that, I will let you guys know when we get there. I will tell you in Discord, or if I'm during a live, if something happens when we get there, because I'm anticipating for us to have a pullback there again and to consolidate again. But if we break through that, then I think that we could have a violent move into the overheated zone. And if we have a violent move to the overheated zone, then we'll have our bear market top and we'll sync well with the 4-year cycle plan. We could just pump straight up until November. And don't think it won't happen, because every time November comes around, we just have a moonshot during an active bull cycle. But I'm hopeful that we reverse so we have time for accumulation. Ethereum made it above the SFP target. Oh, we closed above it, eh? Yeah, we never got the proper SFP. We're close to front running it. So I guess that means this is our next spot to prepare for Ethereum. Oh, we didn't get a healthy pullback either on the 15 minute. This is your next spot. And this never even confirmed as an SFP. Elk Elephant, my TRME indicator was a horizontal line labeled high ADR. I'm not sure what that is. Maybe it was meant to be maybe high ATR, like average true range. Okay. You guys are all asking to buy back in, eh? Yeah, so if you're looking to buy back in, and we get the retrace here, this is the spot where you can prepare to buy, but don't buy unless you get the actual bullish change of character. And if you don't know what a change of character is yet, no, it is in the course to learn market structure, but I'm sure you guys could find this stuff, that knowledge for free too. Like market structure is pretty common knowledge now for traders getting into the space. So yeah, I'd recommend looking it up because learning market structure should be layer one to your learning. And when you start playing with real money, well, before you start playing with real money, learn risk management big time. Because without risk management, you cannot be a profitable trader. I promise you, unless you get lucky on a win streak, and you cannot be a profitable trader without proper risk management. Long term, especially. Okay. All right, guys, I gotta head out. Juju fell asleep. BNB new all-time high. Oh, BNB has been great. BNB has pumped Karma up quite a bit with its pairing liquidity. All of our pairing liquidity with Karma is in BNB. And we've got a free from 80. Let me just do the math. Yeah, almost a free $50,000 worth of liquidity since BNB is pumped from $800 to, I think it's like around $1,100 now. So Karma's been on a tear even without buyers. Look at, people are selling right now and we're pumping because their liquidity is like going up. It's pretty great. We're above the neckline for Cardano. Oh, not Cardano, for Karma. So if we get, the longer we consolidate here, the better, because we can get rid of the weak hands that bought around here. This is the last little supply concern before hitting the all-time high for Karma. And from here to there is like a 2x. And we've gone up 190%, I believe, from the low to where we are. Yeah, 193%. Just been going in a massive uptrend. And we're still below $1 million market cap. Like we got lots of room to grow. And we're about to get listed on CoinMarketCap. So congrats to all the holders that jumped in recently. A mass majority of, especially new investors that may have climbed in through here. Everyone's in a profit right now. Okay, guys. I gotta head out. I wish I could stay longer, but I got a couple things I need to build. If you have more requests for me to look at different assets, you can shoot me a message in the Discord and I will get back to you. So long as it's not a DM, right? If it's a direct message, I most likely will not get to you in time. I prioritize messages from servers than I do from DMs, because if I answer you in the server, a whole bunch of people looking in gets that answer too, right? If 15 people message me to ask me to look at like Chainlink, for example, but they're all part of the same server, I could have that question answer for a bunch of people simultaneously. Congratulations to Onyx for winning a $6,000 account from Klein Funding. We're doing another giveaway next Friday as well. So don't feel like you're missing out, because we're going to be doing this every Friday until the day I'm done, right? So I'll just keep on finding things to give. All right, cool, guys. Congratulations on anyone who may have taken a trade during this live. Appreciate you guys for following, subscribing, sharing. We're growing. We're almost at 7,000 subscribers. We're about 100 subscribers away. We're super, super close to our goal of 7,000 subscribers. And I appreciate all your help, guys, and bring me there. But yeah, I'll see you guys on Monday. We're doing a live again at 11 a.m. And hopefully we'll have a setup for that. If you're going to get a signal from me today, it'll most likely be a short, so you can prepare mentally for something like that. I'm looking for that potential SFP here. If we don't get the SFP on the 15-minute time frame, because this is a daily level, you keep rotating to higher and higher and higher time frames until they're all invalidated on those time frames. And then you use that wick as your stop loss guard. And right now, based on the active price action structure, the target would be here. But right now we're getting a pullback. So long as we have a 2-candle pullback, that low could be the SFP target. If we don't get any SFP, we'll have to sit on our hands and wait for structure, because we'll be in price discovery. And in price discovery, the only thing you have is support from looking left and psychological levels on the right, 128K, 130K, 125K, like rounded numbers. And then that in confluence with large sell orders and the order books, you could still find yourself really good trades without the left side confluence that you usually get when in price discovery. But yeah, guys, you have a great day. And like I said before, reach out to me in the Discord if you need help with anything. I appreciate all your guys' support.